everyone. We're going to do something a little bit different today. So first of all, I've got the windows open, so I kind of apologize for the sound. It'll make you feel like you're in the studio with me. It's nice weather, so we've got the windows open for fresh air. What I'm going to do, so I'm going to change it up for this lesson, and we're going to practice Yin Yoga. I know that like all of the past classes have been movement, morning classes and so forth, but I realized, like, you know, all of my, well, not all, but most of my in-studio classes are sort of turning into more mellow type things, so I'm going to share that with you. So recognizing that you don't have the same props that I do here in the studio, what I'd like for you to do is get some blankets, if you need to, we'll use these as props, or like pillows from your couch or something like that. So go ahead and pause this, take a couple minutes to go find some props, things that you can put under yourself or lean up on, and then come back. So we'll go ahead and get started. I'll assume that you've paused, and we're back again. So we're going to start with working on hips. So we're going to practice pigeon. So I do what I call the pigeon series, so we're going to go through that. And I want you to know that we're going to be holding these poses for several minutes. The purpose of Yin is to really work on tendons and ligaments as opposed to muscles. So we're going to get into the first pose, and then I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about exactly what, I don't want to say what you should be feeling, but what you may be feeling. All right, so bring yourself to hands and knees and have your sort of padding stuff nearby. Bring your left knee forward and make sure that your heel is on the outside of your right hip, and sneak that right leg back. So before you do anything else, I want you to make sure what your focus is in this pose is having your right thigh pointing straight down to the ground, your right knee and the top of your foot pointing straight down. This is going to help keep your hips parallel to the floor. Now, if your left hip is not comfortably resting on the floor, which is fine, it just means that you've got tight hips, and IT, Dan, probably. So take one of your blankets or pillows and put it underneath your hips, underneath your left hip, and maybe even under your thigh. You're looking to feel like you're supported and that you're able to relax the muscles in your left leg and your right leg. Okay. Now, if you've got pillows, blankets, if you've got another pillow or blanket, then allow yourself to lean forward. Let me take off my glasses. To lay forward and rest your forehead on your forearms. Now, if you feel like you're falling over to the right, so I kind of feel like I am, lower yourself, lower your blanket or your pillow, or you can even have something else right here. So maybe you need something on both sides of your hips to make you feel like you're completely supported, all right? So do what you need. So I'm going to assume I want you to let yourself to sink and relax into this pose, and I'm going to talk to you while you're in this, so that's going to help the minutes go by. So as you're in this pose, this is pigeon, one of the pigeon poses. In Yin, this is called sleeping swan. So right now, you've got several things going on. You may feel a stretch in your right hip flexor. You may feel not much at all in your right leg, and that's fine. We're not really doing anything with the right leg. The left leg, however, with that left leg, you're working on the tendons and ligaments in your hip, in your left hip, all of the things that are attaching to the head of your femur, your greater trochanter. And because of the rotation of bringing this left knee forward, you're getting this very specific stretch on your left hip. Work on keeping the tops of your shoulders relaxed. So maybe allow your forehead to rest on your forearms or on your blanket or pillow. And notice, sort of do a checklist, a mental checklist through your body, starting at the crown of your head. Relax your neck, your face, your jaw. Relax the tops of your shoulders. When you can relax and let go of tension in the tops of your shoulders, that will help you release tension in your hips. They are related. Not only are they connected, but you'll notice that tension in your shoulders is related to tension in your hips and vice versa. Soften your belly. Notice if you're engaging or holding any muscles in your low back. See if you can relax your gluteal muscles, your butt muscles. Relax both thighs. It may help for you to think of your left leg first. Relax your left thigh, quadriceps, hamstrings. Check out your calf muscle. Think about your calf muscle. Is it relaxed? Your left ankle, your foot. And then maybe you go down your right leg, relaxing your right thigh, calf, ankle, and foot. And as you lay here, allow yourself to breathe. Notice how your breath changes your pose. Now, if you feel not much, so if you have fairly, if your hips aren't that tight, one option that you can go for is to draw your left knee to the left at a right angle from your body and lay down with that, allowing your leg to start off with, just keep your left leg, your shin at an angle. Notice if you feel anything there. And if still you feel like you could go a little bit further, you could get a little bit more out of this. Don't push it. This is not a competition. Nobody else is watching you. Nobody cares. If you need a little bit more, you feel like you could do a little bit more, the most you will do is to bring your shin parallel to the top of the mat. It will never go high. It should never go higher than that. It should never go closer to the top of the mat. But every time you move your left leg, readjust and make sure that your pelvis, your hips are parallel to the floor. That's what you're looking for. Take long, deep breaths. And if you need to, keep reminding yourself to relax the muscles in your left leg, your hip, your thigh, your calf. Okay, that's been 5 minutes. All right, bring yourself up. Sneak that left knee more towards center. Look at your right foot. Curl your toes under, and when you curl your toes under, rotate that right thigh to still be pointing down. Now, bring your right foot up and grab on from the big toe side. Hold on to the arch with your right hand. This left hand, this left arm is just a kickstand. It's holding you up. Rotate your leg so that your thigh points down towards the ground. Now this is a quadriceps stretch. We're not holding on to this for 5 minutes. Draw your heel in and notice what I'm doing with my right arm. My elbow is pointing back behind me. As you draw your heel in, if your elbow goes back, you're going to get a nice stretch on your pec minor muscle. Take nice long deep breaths. And really work on keeping that right thigh pointing down. If you're opened up like this and your thigh is pointing out, you're not going to get anything. Okay? You're not going to get much anyway. Now release that right leg. Bring your right leg around, and if you've got any props under your thigh, take them out right now. Now we're going to work on double pigeon, okay? So with this right leg swung around, so I'm going to face you now. Bring your left ankle directly underneath your right knee. Right ankle on top of your left knee. And you're looking to have your feet hanging outside of your legs. This gives you, if you look down, and you're gonna position to get that ankle off of that muscle, unless you like the massage of it. So there are days when I leave my ankle right on that, I can't remember which quadricep muscle that is, but it's giving me a nice little massage, pressure point. So this is gonna create an equilateral triangle in your legs. Now, you may have really tight hips, okay? Your knee may be all the way up here. If that's the case, I'm gonna give you a couple of options that you can do. So, folding a blanket or your pillow, if you get your hips higher, that may give you a little bit of release in your hips. Also, just put something underneath your leg and see if you can let it rest there, okay? Sit nice and tall. This we are going to hang on to for several minutes, okay? Take long, deep breaths. Again, relax your shoulders, allow them to drop away from your ears. So think about your spine and the length of your spine, reaching up through your sit bones. So you've got your tailbone positioned between your sit bones. Lengthen up through the center line of your body, all the way up through the crown of your head. Now, lengthening up through the center, see if you can allow the things on the outside, your shoulders and your hips, to have a sort of downward trajectory. You may not notice a whole lot, but it's intention, right? So it's lengthening up through the center, dropping down on the sides. Two motions can happen simultaneously in your body. Breathe gently through your nose. Breathing through your nose helps to activate your parasympathetic nervous system, and that helps you to relax. Relax your jaw, make sure you're not clenching your teeth. Try to become absorbed in your breath. If you've got anything underneath your knee, release it. Come down to the floor. So if you're sitting on a blanket, come off of the blanket, legs flat to the floor, bounce your legs up and down. Really get the backs of your knees pounding against the backs, pounding against the floor. And then rock your feet side to side. Get a lot of wiggle all the way up into your hips. All right, let's do that whole sequence all over again. Come back to hands and knees. Bring your right knee between your hands, lower down to the top of your left thigh. Both sides of your body do not act the same way, okay? So if you need to pad this side and you didn't have to the other side, do it. No, I actually don't need to, and it feels weird on my body to have padding. Remember, keep the left thigh, knee, and top of the foot pointing down towards the ground. Work on feeling your pelvis and your hips become parallel to the floor. You can even look. I mean, take a look at your body. Don't just trust what your brain is telling you, because frequently we've gotten our bodies into positions or into situations where we've sort of Stockholmed our body into believing that this way that we hold the body is normal or is balanced. Your brain recalibrates with all of your, weird idiosyncrasies that you've done with your body. And so, your brain might think, well, this is level, and it may not be, right? So take a look at your body sometimes and see what's going on. So let's do your mental checklist. Sneaking down from the crown of your head, down your shoulders. Relax your shoulders, relax your arms. Try to find balance in your body where you don't feel like you're leaning to the right or leaning to the left. This is what propping yourself up can do, or maybe making little tiny adjustments where you shift something just so, and you feel now balanced. And while you're hanging out here, so going back to talking about yin specifically, Yin Yoga, you are working on relaxing your muscles so that you can get to your tendons and your ligaments. You are doing your best to tell your muscles, it's okay, I'm completely supported. So nearly all, I don't know of any yin poses where your body isn't mostly on the ground. You're using gravity and the weight of your own body and bones to really create these deep stretches. So you're relaxing the muscles because the muscles are the movers. The muscles don't hold things together. The tendons and ligaments do. Tendons attach muscle to bone. Ligaments hold bone to bone, hold bones together. So, and they're denser. They're much denser fascia. They're a denser material, so they need more time to let go and release. So I hope you really feel like you're in the studio. This is regardless if it's at this location or the last one, it was near a fire station, so. Make sure that your shoulders are relaxed. Make sure you're releasing any engagement in your thighs and your hips. Both thighs, both hips. Notice how if you have a muscle engaged in your left leg, if you release it, it shifts something on the other side. Start to bring yourself up. Take a look at the left leg. Make sure your thigh and toes point down. Bring that left leg up. Grab on to the arch. Your right hand is a kickstand. And to your degree, start to bring that left heel in. Your left elbow goes back behind you. Get that stretch on your pec minor muscle in your chest. And we're only holding on to this for about 5 breaths or so. We're not holding this forever. This is specifically a quadriceps stretch. We are specifically working on muscles. So when the pigeon series that I created it includes stuff that's got muscle stuff. So this technically is not yin. All right, allow that leg to release. Swing that leg around, left leg is in front. Your right ankle is underneath your left knee. Your left foot comes on top. So the side may also be different. This may be the side where your knee is higher. Another thing that you can do with this is possibly, so it all depends on the way that your bones are shaped, the way that your bones are aligned in your body. It may be that you're more comfortable and your leg will release a little bit more if you can actually bring your foot up here into your hip crease. So believe it or not, that actually may help release tension in your leg. And if that's the case, go for it. It's a different rotation on your femur than if your leg was out here, but that's fine. You're not looking for something that is agonizing. For those of you who have been in yin classes, in my yin class, like yin with trivia, sometimes it is agonizing. Believe me, I know. And part of that is seeing, okay, I'm in this pose, is there anything that I can relax and release? Is this a good stretch or is this injurious? Sharp stabbing pain is bad, but I hope you know, I mean, really pay attention to, hope you know the difference between this is a good deep stretch versus I'm getting hurt, right? So there's no sense in getting an injury in this pose, or in any pose for that matter. So you can bring the top of your foot into your hip crease. Also, if your hips are really, really tight and getting your foot even like this is not an option, you can have your foot in front, because likely even just having your foot in front and sitting like this, that's enough of a hip stretch. And don't forget, if you need to, anytime you have tight hips, getting your hips higher, sitting on a blanket or a bolster, that's the answer, okay? I've got a little bit of tension in my knee and I'm trying to figure out, yeah, it's gonna have to be like this. Try to sit nice and tall. Drop your shoulders away from your ears. Think about how much space can you make between your ears and the tops of your shoulders. But then think about your pelvis as it pertains to your spine. So the taller you can sit, this is going to tilt your pelvis forward, and that's what we're looking for. When you tilt your pelvis forward, where your belly button pours forward, this is going to get more of a stretch on all sorts of things that are attached to the back of your pelvis and the sides of your pelvis. So you're going to get a stretch on psoas. You might get an IT stretch here. Hamstrings for sure. This is going to give a little bit of a stretch to your sciatic nerve. And all of this, especially the sleeping swan or the first pigeon pose that we did, that's actually good for sciatica because it's opening up and giving a release. And this is, imagine this is the hip joint, my armpit. So you're giving a release to the space where your sciatic nerve is, which is in your hips, in your back, in the back. Runs along the back of your leg. Actually starts at your middle back and your spine, runs down your legs, all the way down to your heels. So if you have sciatica, you can feel it all the way down into your heels. Keep your face relaxed. Make sure you're not clenching your jaws, clenching your teeth. eventually bring yourself out. If you need to lift body parts to get them out, that's fine. Make sure you're off your blanket or your pillow. Legs out in front, bounce them up and down. And rock them side to side. So now let's come onto your belly. Let's do a little bit of a back bending, just simple, okay? Again, this is yin, so you're not forcing anything. Come on up to your forearms and wrap your fingers around your elbows just to make sure that your elbows are underneath your shoulders, right? So if your fingers wrap all the way around to the backs of your elbows, that's perfect. Rest your forearms on the floor. Press your paws into the floor, your palms. So the reason why I said pause, this is Sphinx pose, okay? So think of the Sphinx in Egypt, pressing your paws into the floor. Now, bring your attention back to your legs, and you may find that bringing your legs closer together allows you to relax your legs a little bit more. When they're closer together, they may roll out. Keep pressing your forearms into the floor. So there is some effort in your forearms just to keep yourself lifted. But keep on relaxing your legs and play around with different widths of your legs. Maybe you feel like you can release tension in your low back by having your legs wider, but make sure that you're really relaxing muscles, your gluteal muscles. Release your butt muscles and your thighs. You can keep your head lifted. Maybe it feels good to let your head hang. We're not going to hold this for 5 minutes. We're just going to hold this for a few, about a minute or so more. Just getting a little bit of a back bend in your low back. And you may feel tension growing in your shoulders. Now keep on pressing your forearms down. Just don't let your shoulders sneak into your ears. Keep your spine nice and long. We'll work out your shoulders before we're done. Now release yourself down. Keep your legs together and press back into child's pose. Bring your hips to your heels. So when your knees are together, this allows you to release your back. If your knees are wide, that's more of a hip stretch. So right now we're looking for a low back stretch. And you can have your arms out in front. You can have your arms next to you, palms up. Whatever makes you feel like you can release and relax more. Bring yourself up, come back onto your belly. We're going to do one more back bend before we work on everything else. Bring your legs wide so that your heels might fall in. Maybe your heels do, maybe they don't. Bring your hands in front of you and then wider than the mat, wider than your shoulders, and lengthen your arms. Now, when you come up like this, I can only speak for girls, for women. This puts a bit of a pressure on my pubic bone that is uncomfortable. So, take a blanket, put it down, get set back up again, and lift. problem solved. You don't need to live with suffering. So this is called seal pose. Kind of look like a seal. Allow your legs to relax. And you can do this two different ways. If it feels good to your body to press away from the floor and keep your chest away from your shoulders, do that, okay? There are a couple different things that you might feel in this. You might feel your shoulders. You might also feel it in your back. I gotta keep relaxing my gluteal muscles. So you can press the floor away, or maybe it feels good to allow your chest to sink and your chin to drop. Keep your arms nice and long regardless. So you're not holding yourself up with bent elbows. You are kind of locking your elbows, okay? Now, if your elbows hyperextend, if your joints hyperextend, then you're gonna need to put a micro bend to make your arms straight. Do you know what I mean? If you've got hyper, and I don't, so I don't know how to show you elbows that hyperextend, but they go past straight. So if you do that, just a little soft bend in your elbows, but you're not looking for this bulldog stance, okay? You might have to keep reminding yourself to relax. Notice the difference when you have your gluteal muscles engaged versus relaxed, how that feels on your back. If you need to engage your muscles to release back, that's fine. All right, soften your elbows, lower yourself down. Hands underneath your chin, rock your hips from side to side, bring your legs in if you need to. So you're releasing your back bend a little bit just by rocking your hips. Now let's press back into child's pose again. Bring your knees together, press back. Bring yourself up. So we're now going to release your back bends and this is going to stretch your back body. Legs in front. Now, whether you have tight hamstrings or not, take one of your blankets or pillow or whatever you have with you and sit on it to get your hips a little bit higher, okay? Legs out in front. Allow your legs to relax. And draw yourself forward. So this is, you're not engaging. This is not Paschimottanasana. This is technically, I think in Yin we call this caterpillar. Some may also call it ragdoll. So you're allowing yourself to hang forward. Your pose may not be even this forward, that's fine. One thing that you can do is if you've got your blanket, if you have another blanket or a pillow, bring it right up into your hip crease, right up into your belly. And so I have my rib cage resting right on top of this to allow myself to sort of drop forward. Maybe over the course of the next few minutes, you're going to find yourself drawing forward a little bit more. Keep your legs relaxed as much as you can. And if you've got another blanket or pillow or something, then maybe you play pretend it's a little bit higher. So you can stack things to give yourself something to rest your head on if you don't like hanging your head. If you think that hanging your head feels really good, then do it. And keep checking out your body, making sure that you're relaxing muscles. So this is an interesting practice. Yin is a really interesting practice in getting to know your body and your muscles and where you hold tension, and bring yourself up. Stay seated on your pillow. We're going to do cobbler or diamond pose. So it's entirely up to you. I'm going to leave this up to you. If you have really tight hamstrings and hips, this may be more of a diamond shape. And you can stay like this and draw yourself forward. You may have all sorts of pillows and stuff right here, or you're just sort of drawing yourself forward. Yes, I'm bringing my head forward. I can do that. Maybe you can too. And if you need to bring your feet wider, see if it changes the wider you go, or the further away you bring your feet from your body. However, if you want to bring your feet all the way in, go for it. Do what feels best. So in this pose, you're working on different hamstrings. Okay, so you have several, it's a muscle group that forms the hamstrings. So you're working on different muscles by rotating your feet like this, rotating your legs like this, as opposed to having them out straight. So find a pose. I'm gonna go for diamond, because I feel like I can fold forward and stay there longer. Find a pose where you feel like you can release. Now, there are times when I'm in this pose where I feel a nerve sort of pinch a little bit in my knees and sometimes in my hips. So you might see me when I get into this pose, I lift my knees to sort of release that nerve, because sometimes it like rolls under something, rolls under a tendon, and then let it go, and then that releases it. So you may experience something like that. Bring yourself up. this into Shavasana, so if you feel like you need to do something else, maybe a little bit of hammock right here where you're just rocking your knees from side to side just to release any tension. Then bring yourself down into your Shavasana. If you need propping, you've got your stuff. Now remember, if you have any, when you're laying flat, and if you feel any tension in your low back, if you feel pinching in your low back, then maybe you need to bring something underneath your thighs to lay down. Allow your arms to be wide, your legs to be wide, or your knees. So if you're propped up, allow your knees to be open. Allow your body weight to sink and release. So note to Bird, when you're editing, allow for 5 minutes of Shavasana. Deepen your breath. Wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. Reach your arms above you on the floor, get a big stretch. And when you're ready, roll to one side. And take your time bringing yourself back up to an easy seated position. Once you're back up to seated, take a deep inhale. Blow it out. Deep inhale. Blow it out. One more inhale. Blow it out. Find your natural breath. Sit a little bit taller, lift the sides of your mouth. Create a positive energy field around you. Lift the sides of your mouth, smile. Notice how that changes your face. And think a positive thought about yourself. Think a positive thought about someone you love. And release a positive thought out to the universe. May all beings in the universe be happy and free. And may our actions and our thoughts contribute to their happiness and their freedom. Namaste. Thank you all. See you next time.